Hello and welcome to AntipoDnD, a show in which a bunch of Australians play Dungeons and Dragons in a setting partly inspired by prehistoric Australia and New Zealand. I am David, your Dungeon Master. I am joined as usual by Kynwin, Doug, April and Zindy. We are picking things up from where we left off last week, which was less of a cliffhanger and more of a what are they doing? Our heroes have been trying to infiltrate or learn about a Tarthian delegation in the city of Providence. The delegation there from the ascendancy of Tarth, a nation of basically powerful, ruled by powerful wizards who believe that magic users should have the right to rule over everybody else. They used to be the owners of, the rulers of Providence, in fact, back when it had another name. They founded it as the penal colony, but they were overthrown with the help of Desmina, goddess of society and equality and revolutions. But now this delegation is back in town and they are trying to establish a formal presence here in the city with an embassy and everything. And a lot of the townsfolk are quite unhappy about it. So Izard, the master of security at the Coruscant Academy, the local magic school, having recently essentially commissioned our heroes as pathfinders, secret agents of the Academy. He has asked them to try and find out what the delegation's true intentions are in this city, because he believes there's no way that an embassy could actually open up, and it seems surely that the Tarthians would know this. So why are they really here? In researching this, they've tried a few different methods. They've interviewed a Tarthian wizard who they captured several days ago and are keeping in a necklace. They have also visited a magic store. Dagmar, the dwarf, got some rather painful tattoos on her hands and knuckles, which say champion, is that right?
Yes.
Champion.
Because she is.
Because she is. She is now the champion of the arena of Providence, having defeated a half-orc named No One for that honor. And the last thing when we finished last week, Morzod and Dagmar were in the tattoo parlor with those tattoos having just finished, and Vatericus and Orsi had just finished their business at the Coruscant Academy and were heading back to meet up with their comrades. So let's just check in with Vatericus and Orsi. Is there anything else? Is there anything you're going to do on the way back to the magic store?
I think Orsi's good.
Did we want to go and check on Zarasa while we're up here?
Oh, we did say we'd do that, didn't we?
Yes. Maybe we should wait for the others and we'll all organize something.
A good point. Plus, we don't know where Zarasa's room is anyway, so should we just go back to the store and tell them and go after?
Yes, let's do that. All right, fine.
All right.
As we're headed back, are there still... I remember when we first came back to Providence, there were crowds sort of protesting the Tarthian presence in Providence. Are they still kicking around?
Much smaller numbers. It's no longer the, like... Last time the first time you saw the crowds, it was like, 10% of the city had turned out for it. It was like hundreds of people. Now it's only a dozen or two. They're still very vocal, very, adamant, but a lot of people have decided, they need to get back to their work. They need to carry on with their lives. You don't get the feeling that the resentment has fallen at all. It's just that people think the message has been heard. I'll also just point out that two of you are not in Foundry yet.
I clicked it earlier and it wasn't fired up, so I thought, oh, he probably doesn't have the server ready yet. Then I shall press enter again.
So
there it is.
Vatericus and Orsi, as you are walking back towards Arena Square, you do come across the path that leads up the hill towards the Panopticon. And as you look at it, you can actually see that there are 2 Tarthian mages standing. They're not all the way down. They're on the side where the path comes down. They seem to be just looking out across the city at this moment. From where you are, you can see that there are 2 masked wizards, and they appear to have a retinue of guards of their own around them.
The mask situation, can we tell what rank they are? Is it the same as our friend in the necklace, or higher, or
Give me a perception check, please.
perception?
Let's have a look. That is a 12 for Vitericus on perception.
18.
Okay. With an 18, also you can see with your elf eyes that one has a black mask. It's very hard to see much about them, except they are. This one is rather tall under their robes, and the other has a silver mask, who is sort of a medium-sized humanoid, but otherwise quite unremarkable. And as you understand it, the hierarchy of masks goes gold, silver, black, and white.
That's a descending
Pretty
order,
high up
right?
in the ranking.
Yes. David, can you remind me what color mask did Ascendant Kine have?
It's got a white one.
Gold, didn't you? Oh, wait.
White. No, Kova Fen has gold.
Kova Fen's the boss, yeah.
Yeah. And Jeros Kine is white. So Kine is on the lowest rung, and Kova Fen is on the highest.
Yep. Okay, great. So these guys are both above Kine and below Fen.
That's right.
Cool. Yes. Well, I mean, they're in a hostile city. I'd imagine they'd have to keep some guards with them, right?
I mean, I'm not really surprised they have guards with them since they're both high ranking.
Yep. You can see from where you are. You can see they seem to have a total of 8 guards, armed guards with spears and not spears, halberds and flintlock pistols at the ready.
Are the guards, do they look like they're from the city, like the province guards, or are they like a private?
They looked distinctly Tarthian. They are wearing Tarthian colours. They have helmets with sort of visors that hide the upper part of the face. But
Big T on the robes is a dead giveaway.
but they are not fully masked like the Ascended are. It's only their upper faces that are hidden.
Oh man, they got dominoes?
What are we going to do about that, Vitericus?
At the moment, nothing. We're going to go back to our friends and have a chat with them. But later, I'm sure there will be plenty for us to do.
All right. Puddle off.
Yeah. Is there any chance to eavesdrop as we go past, or are they far enough up the path that I'm not going to get much?
From where you are, it would be very difficult to hear anything unless they're yelling.
Okay.
You would have to go
send
up.
glow.
Are they yelling?
It'd be obvious.
They are not yelling, as far as
They
you
are
can
not-
tell.
okay.
Certainly, as far as Morzod can tell.
Yeah, Mozart definitely can't tell.
Yeah, I'd really rather not send her. So
If they were yelling and he could tell, then
yes, no, good call, Orsi. We don't need them suspicious of every owl in Providence at the moment. Perhaps later.
it certainly would be funny.
she does have sparkling orange eyes. It's a little bit of a giveaway.
A little bit, yes. Also, how many burrowing owls have there been? Like, do we have in Providence? I can't imagine there are many, right?
Orsi can give me a nature check.
Where are they native to in this world?
Well, I mean, Faye,
Okay.
are they even native anywhere?
My nature's not that bad. It's 8.
8.
It's 8. I got an 8.
I don't know, it's a bird.
I am assuming that Orsi knew about...
Saw a picture of one in a book once.
Yeah, sort of knew that they existed. And liked them, and that's why Glow took on the form of a burrowing owl when Glow entered the material plane. But that is it. That is all you know.
Yeah. I have no idea where anything like her comes from on this plane. I saw a picture of one in a book when I was a kid. It's just how she came out.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, then let's definitely not risk it. Let's head down to the others and formulate a game plan.
Let's do that. We head
Wonderful.
off.
Meanwhile, at the tattoo parlor.
Okay. Yes, Morzod and Dagmar. The tattooing process is finished. And boy, oh boy, that was painful. Dagmar, what is Dagmar doing now that it is just finished?
Probably doing a lot of this and a lot of little bit of slapping because you cannot itch it, and also just staring at it a lot in the mirror.
Oh my god.
And yes, Sabi, or specifically Behethra, one of these twins inside the body of this dual personality, and it's not just multiple personalities, it's actually two separate souls inside an individual, one an enchanter, one a tattooist. And she says to Dagmar, yeah, it's gonna hurt a while, so I keep telling, Salethra we should have, like, balms or something, but I don't know, there might be a apothecary around here, so...
Gotta be some sort of leaf you can rub on that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
And she looks at you, Morzor, and says, are you like one of them priestly types? Like...
Cleric, yeah.
Oh, you don't have, like, pain-killing spells?
I mean, there's stuff that can fix you up if someone's busted you, but it's not really busted there. She's just got colours in it.
Give me a medicine check, Morzod.
Actually not bad at that, I think. So race for rolling a 2.
Hmm.
Yeah, +6. So let's see what we get.
That's not bad at all.
That's a 23.
That is a 23, yep. And you think that the pain that she's feeling is probably because, the skin has been messed up a bit. And, it's going to heal over time and she will get better, but maybe a little bit of magic healing could actually relieve some of that pain.
Oh, well, suppose, yeah, if you, medicinally do, what's the words that I was going to say with my face and the speaking? You'd put aloe on that sort of stuff to soothe it, wouldn't you, in real life? I don't know. I haven't tattoos. Do you?
No. Yeah.
No?
No.
No?
Like
okay.
Tattoo balms would
nappy.
be- Yeah.
Rash stuff.
Tattoo balms exist, I promise all of you.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyway, let me see what I got. I'm terrible at remembering what spells like what they're called.
Well, so I should just give them all new names.
Really should. I should go through and just rename these ones with busted, really busted, unbust everyone.
Cure wound.
Healing word
Yeah,
or
I'm
cure
thinking.
wounds is like a baby spell.
Yeah, I was trying to see where I had healing word, but no, cure wounds. I'll do with it. Roll that one, and that's an 8 for a
Cool.
total of 14.
Oh, yeah.
Your hands feel great.
How does Morzod heal Dagmar?
I think probably because you're not allowed to itch them. Probably one hand there, and you just kind of go, yeah, just tap it a bit. You'll be all right.
So, Dagmar, with that first slap, there is intense stabbing, scalding pain.
Ow!
And
Because kind of big meaty chops. I mean, really.
Little hands.
Then immediately turns into a surprisingly pleasant tingling sensation as the pain seems to sort of burn away and the redness fades, and you now just have some rather nice looking tattoos and just a very slight sort of residual ache, but the damage that would have needed some time to heal has now been healed.
Thank you.
Hey, look all right, eh?
Just gonna do this for like the next 4 days straight.
Should get your nails did as well.
Oh yeah.
And meanwhile, April is desperately wishing we had this magic in the real world.
It's okay once you wrap them. You get them wrapped after it's done, and they put stuff on it. It feels really good. Back to
My
you,
real
so-
life tattoos, I always have a ruler on hand and I just slap with my ruler.
Reminds me of those slap bands that were
Yeah.
fashionable for a while.
They're just so fucking itchy that it's like,
Yeah. Please no.
And it's at this point that Vitericus and Orsi return.
Hey.
Well, how was it? Show us your tattoo.
they're immediately getting hands in the face. Oh, my hands.
Well, in the face, but like from below, so kind of.
Yeah, right. Like on Orsi.
Kindman, are you able to describe in more detail what they look like?
I can. So I have champion written across the knuckles, but on the hand of my right, on the top of my right hand, I have crossed arrows and some wax flowers surrounding them. And on my left hand, I have crossed daggers and some wattle flowers surrounding them.
Oh man, that's pretty.
I know I
Really
want them in real
lovely.
life, but I can't
Yes,
pull it
you
off.
I'm sure you could.
Also the pain.
It's not-
Much easier to get tattoos in Dungeons and Dragons.
Easy to do a great many things in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why we love it.
Like, I've slain 3 times more dragons in this game than I have in real life.
I can buy property in Dungeons and Dragons. It's
Yeah.
great.
Right.
You can get a long
Real
rest.
fantasy.
You can get a
Yeah.
long rest at the end of every day and wake up feeling fully refreshed. I mean,
8 hours.
Imagine.
Oh my god.
The least relatable thing that's ever happened.
mm,
That's the real fantasy.
While Dagmar is pushing her hands in our face to check them out,
Well,
can I quickly get a sense of how big Dagmar's hands are?
So she's 4 feet tall.
Yes.
We're thinking probably, what do you say, like a young teenager kind of size?
Yeah, like I'm 5 feet tall and my hands are, I don't know.
yeah, they're not
But have you-
they're not
have you got a-
proportionally the same
Have you
as
got a coffee mug? Because I'm thinking she'd be like maybe even coffee mug size.
yeah. So although she's quite short, the hands are a bit larger than they would be for if a human was just shrunk down. But they are still smaller than Vitericus's would be, I think.
Cool.
My
I'm
question
going to
is-
take some.
Why?
Yes, I'm going
Yeah.
to make some mental, like, glove size calculations while I'm admiring Dagmar's new tats, and then file that away for future reference.
Can we imagine him as just that meme with the lady with the maths?
And the whole party and the dungeon master are now very suspicious.
Right. It's all right.
I mean, it's Vinny. That's what he'd do.
yeah, it's really not that weird. If anyone else did it, it would be.
Yeah.
Suspicious kindness. It's how I roll.
Yeah, he really does with the coins and the yeah.
Right. Well, we have information from the academy, so
Oh,
Should we
how'd
head
that
back?
go? How'd that all go? Oh,
good. I don't really want to talk about it absolutely in public, but
that's
yes.
fair. That's fair.
That is a question. Are you having this conversation in the magic shop?
Probably still.
I think
Seems
we're
like
still in
we
the
are.
magic shop now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, head home for what's the time? It's about lunch or
It's getting on to about 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
use a snack.
Should we head back to the orphanage or?
Well, look, unless you guys have got somewhere you need to go, you can go back and get something to eat.
I have no plans for the rest of my life.
Good to know, Dagmar.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome Grand Day Out music intensifies. Let's go.
You head back to common ground, and I'll just move you all over to that map so that we can visualize it. Now, is there anything else that, as a group or individually, you'd like to achieve today, or shall we give your characters a bit of R&R for the afternoon?
Reading my notes. How many days has it been since Orsi asked about the flowers? Pressed flowers. Has it been a day? 2 days?
Only a day or so, I think. It might have
Only been a
even
day.
just been this morning. It's either this morning or last night. I
I
think it
think
was
keep
last
track.
night.
I
Yeah.
think it was the day
last night.
before.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before the arena, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. He'll leave that. He'll give it a little bit longer.
And the arena was yesterday.
It
Yeah.
was yesterday.
Yes, the four of you are definitely getting approving glances as you walk past the street. Although you're no longer in your arena costumes, your silhouettes, if nothing else, are quite distinctive. And as you're moving around as a group, people are immediately going, "Oh yeah, it's those four. It's the God-touched."
Certainly, contextually, putting all four of us together is pretty easy to guess, I should think.
Actually, Dagmar, as you're going down the street, you do actually have a guard at one of the gateways sort of step out in front of you with a hand up and actually take out a pamphlet and a pencil, piece of graphite, and ask for a signature.
Me?
Actually,
Yep. And
it would be charcoal.
the pamphlet is a flyer for yesterday's game. It doesn't have any pictures on it, but it does have the name of Brunhilde Eye Shooter as one of the combatants.
Oh, yeah. Gee,
Would
they
love
printed
to
those
sign
fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign it, but my signature is not very practiced in Brunhilde, so it's gonna be real scrappy.
Cool. He loves it. He is delighted by this and says, "Thanks. The wife will, probably kill me for it, but that's okay."
I'll defend you.
That's
As
cute.
we're walking back, is there any more posters of Dagmar? Do we see any more?
Just the one at the gatehouse between Arena Square and the lower ward.
So they're not
That's the
plastered
same
all
one
over.
I've tried to steal before, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still up there.
That same guard standing nearby.
Oh my god, please don't.
Give me a perception check.
That was a
stop-
natural 20.
Okay.
Oh, wow. It is, in fact, the same guard
Let's
from the
not.
other day who looked at you and then looked at the poster several times.
That was before the hair dye, though.
That's true.
Yeah. My hair has changed color, but I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dagmar, if you're going to do anything to the posters, at least do them in the middle of the night. Maybe not in the middle of the day.
Oh, I keep forgetting I should come back at night.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a good time for rogues. Night.
Yep.
Been such a day-based rogue.
Oh, well, they come in all types, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Trundling home.
You're back at Common Ground. You have an afternoon snack or lunch. Anything else for today?
Should we go over what we talked about?
Yes, we should definitely do that. And then after that, I've got a couple of errands to run in town, but they won't take long. That'll be fine.
Cool.
So, what did we learn, Aussie?
Did we learn? The Crystal Guard, for one, guards the shard of the crystal. Very original name.
It's making sense.
To clarify, the shard itself is in the vault under the academy. The Crystal Guard, they guard the crystal itself.
Oh, okay.
Crystal guard.
I've had a lot
crystal.
going between now and
So
then.
the
I can't
shard is
remember
unguarded.
too much of what we talked about.
True.
Sarah, 'cause you
All
can take it from
coming
here.
together.
Wonderful. So, yes. So the shard guard the shard, but the crystal guard the
Yes.
crystal.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, wonderful.
Wait,
Excellent. I'm
hang
glad
on.
we got that.
It's a crystal
Is
shard.
it just the academy?
Has
It's
the
just
shard
the
guard.
academy guarding the shard. The crystal guard guards the crystal proper. Correct.
Are they
Yes, that's
academies?
right. So we've got the
Academy
Crystal Guard
shard
that guard
guards?
the Crystal. We've
Yeah.
got the City Guard that guard the City. And then we've
Yes.
got the Academy that guards the Shard.
Wizards
Right.
guarding the shard, yes.
Yes.
And the Tarthians want the shard.
Yes,
Right.
that's the impression we're getting. They're certainly after something, and Izzard is convinced it's probably the Shard. But at the
Yes,
moment, it's hard to get the Shard because the Shard is guarded by the Academy.
that's
Right.
correct. And we haven't
Wonderful.
asked around yet.
Do you think that
no.
they'd be waiting for like some way to get in, like distracting the shard guards or something? If it was me, I'd plan to do something like that.
Well, possibly. But the good news is Izzard is lining up a meeting with the Shard Guard, not the Shard Guard, the Crystal Guard,
Crystal Guard, yes.
at some point in the future, and will send word to us to have a chat to the Crystal Guard somewhere below the Crystal in the Panopticon at some point.
Right.
And we also still have to search out the area they're staying in.
Yes, and I have good news on that front too. Ascendant Kine has refused to talk to me.
Sounds about right.
Why is that good?
I was
That's-
there. I heard everything. He did a great
That's-
job.
Yes, it was great. Well, it's perfect because now Alkanost Wright has the perfect excuse to go and talk to somebody higher ranking inside the Tarth delegation.
What?
Hmm.
Ascendant Kine is being uncooperative, and so I must move up the chain of command. I now have a legitimate reason to go and talk to, say, for example, Supreme Ascendant Fen. Perhaps not quite that far up straight away, but someone, I'm sure. And
Do
the
you
good
think
news about
they'll-
that is I can be distracting.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Right.
Yes.
So you be distracting, turn Dagmar invisible, take
Yes.
her with her.
oh. Looking for again?
Clues.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, we also
Yes.
just need to. have
Who's
a
on
look,
what?
right?
That is a good point. What exactly we should be looking for?
Izzard wants to know exactly what the Tarthians are up to, because they're probably not just here to establish an embassy. So look for any notes that say Ascendancy of Tarth, evil plan,
Ah, yes. Okay.
with bullet points. That would be perfect.
Big
Diary
evil plan, yes.
planning
Yeah.
to steal shard from out under their noses.
Yes, that would be
probably
perfect.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
A ledger.
Can I
Yep.
get an intelligence, just a regular intelligence check from Vitericus, please?
+0, let's go.
Yeah, come on, bud.
Hey,
That's a 19, though.
Than you.
19. I got Vitericus to roll this because Vitericus has been acting as a lawyer. And so, just with a mention of Arcanos Wright, Vitericus's lawyer brain switches in and something else occurs to him. So they're trying to work out what are the Tarthians really doing in the city. Also, Izzard is clearly, he just wants them out. He wants them out. Most of the city wants a reason to throw the Tarthian delegation out and end this as soon as possible. So it occurs to Vitericus, if through your scouting you could find evidence that the Tarthians were doing something illegal, something that broke the laws of Providence, they would not have diplomatic immunity yet, because they are not actually a delegation. They've not been, the ascendancy of Tarth has not been given that status. So if you can prove that they are abusing the hospitality of the city, that might be enough, even if you can't figure out what their grand scheme is.
Oh man, this is a point-and-click adventure, and I love it.
I will relay that to the team.
Right. I don't really know how the law works here specifically. Do you think finding evidence in such a way would make it inadmissible?
Potentially, if it's just us sneaking in and taking things, but there are lots of ways to break the law in Providence. Bribing guards, apparently. Casting spells, if we could get one of these Tarthians to spell at someone in sight of a crystal guard.
That if someone saw you provoke him, though, I mean,
I can
You say,
be
"No,
annoying
you-
without being provoking.
Let's do D&D Phoenix right now.
It's been going through my head the entire time. It's animated and everything.
Objection.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So those are our options. Wait for Izud to give us the word.
Also, Tarthians are slavers, so if there is any evidence of them actually having slaves in Providence, that would immediately get them kicked out.
Of course.
If they're lucky.
So in terms of the recon part of that little plan, should we talk about that real quick? Just what would happen?
I mean,
Right.
actually making a plan on it's probably a good idea.
It's a loose collection of thoughts. So you would distract them. So as me and Viterex were walking back, we did see 2 Tarthians, black mask and a silver mask, so pretty high ranking. And a bunch of guards, at least 8 that we saw, but they could have more, I assume.
What do you think's a good distraction for a bunch like that?
I have a rock.
And a rock.
It's a very nice
Yes.
rock.
Yeah,
A very interesting rock.
it's a distracty rock.
This is true. I was hoping I could bog them down in legal jargon for a while.
I mean, but as a backup,
This is
There is
true.
a rock.
It's a brilliant
Right.
backup.
in case the legal jargon fails. Or like they sort of their brains do what mine do and they kind of just start like looking away from the guy saying all of the really complicated stuff and looking around, in which case they would be more likely to see something like me going through their stuff.
You'll be invisible.
The things I touch won't be invisible.
No.
So if I do have to,
If
you
you're
know,
standing there rummaging through
open
books, you'll see
something.
books moving.
yeah.
Fine. Hopefully.
So ideally, they would not be paying attention that closely to anything but Vitericus or the rock.
You'd want to be pretty far away from the distractions, yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know.
Going through my spell book.
Yes, if I can get them out of the room, that would be, or out of their apartments, or whatever they've got. We think we should scout what they've got in the Panopticon as well, and what rooms are available. Because if I can arrange a meeting in, like, the Desmina Memorial coffee room or whatever is in there,
Taco
then
Bell. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. We meet in the parking lot of the Macca's out the back of the Panopticon.
Can you buy
Then
a Switch?
then that should give you free reign to hopefully it will just leave the guards, right? And if the guards are there, hopefully the guards aren't quite as magical and they won't
Yeah.
notice an invisible rogue sneaking around.
Yes. And I can
Hey.
turn Glow into something smaller and she can go with you, so I can keep an eye out too.
That would be nice. These ascendant people, they're all like super magic, right? Like that's their
Yes.
whole
Mhm.
thing is like crazy magic. Are they likely to set magical traps? Do we think? Because I don't think they know how to
Probably.
disarm those.
I mean,
Aussie, you got a book for that?
not on me.
Get one.
I also don't know how to I don't know how to dispel magic yet. I didn't learn that one. Sorry.
Well,
Also, I
we
wouldn't
don't
be able
need
to go anywhere.
we don't need to learn all their secrets, right? We just need a secret that we can use. So
Exactly. And I'm sure like a ledger or something incriminating. Surely not everything has a runic charm on it.
Cool.
But
Don't
maybe
want
be
to
careful
stumble
opening
into
any boxes,
Yeah.
treasure
Mm.
chests with fireballs attached to them.
being caught by the magic slave people seems like a really unfun thing to happen.
And watch out for the rugs.
Yeah. Rugs.
They could have animated rugs. You're not wrong.
Yep.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
That was not a fun time.
It wasn't.
No. It's quite stressful.
Right. So that's I'll turn Glow. Are you okay with spiders?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'll turn her into a spider or something this evening.
I've fought very big spiders, so a little spider is, fine.
I was going to say something Minecraft. You know that sound? It puts you on edge.
I'm from a cave. There's a lot of spiders down there.
Oh, good. Good to know. Good to know. Right. Is there anything else we need to go over?
Morzod, what are you going to be doing during our little escapade?
I don't know. I'm just here to punch things.
I mean,
You
if
are-
someone has to run in and rescue me, that would be nice.
I mean,
Mhm.
aside from possibly also being distracted, I can't think of anything that I can really I mean,
May the Dungeon Master make a suggestion? Just because it's a heist and I love planning heists.
oh yeah,
Sure.
Ocean's 11. Let's go.
Arcanist Wright could have a bodyguard,
This is true.
especially one that he had just seen fight in the arena the day before.
Hiring a local
Mhm,
beef
mhm.
boy.
I could certainly hire local talent. Alkanost Wright is a frail old man.
There we go.
That would be perfect.
Wizard's pretty good at standing around looking intimidating. It's all good.
Bodyguard /
Wonderful.
manservant / whatever Arcanist Wright would have.
Personal chef.
Man
Mhm,
Savante.
What about where should I stand?
Surely there will be a common area somewhere in there. You could just be doing magic things, right?
Sit down and pretend to
If-
study.
If
Hmm.
they's trying to be friendly with Providence, if you was a mage wanting to talk magic with them, do you think they'd be into that?
Perhaps. I mean, I'm not from Providence, so I'm not sure.
April,
Still, if they're trying to make
Yes.
nice.
how close does Orsi need to stay to Glow to maintain the link?
I think it's 100 feet. Let me check.
Musical
Kinda familiar.
response.
I think it's 100 feet to look through her eyes.
Okay.
Okay, while your familiar is within 100 feet of you, you can communicate telepathically. As an action, I can see through their eyes. So within 100 feet to do all that.
Okay. Yeah, you'd probably need to be within the building.
Yeah, I need to stay close to Glow, so
Newspaper.
moustache.
Uh,
Yeah.
Cut out some eye holes.
Mm.
An elf with some facial hair won't draw attention at all.
Yeah,
A potential secondary job for you, Orsi, if you're up for it.
Do tell.
How are you with rumor mongering?
I was a bit of a gossip back in high school. I could see what I could do.
I can see that. All right. Well, we have a Tarthian who stands accused of assaulting Academy members in the Wandering Isles.
I see.
Now, that's a rumor that Alkanost has worked very hard to suppress. But potentially, if he's walking into a room full of people who could charm him, that would be leverage that Alkanost would rather have available to him to prevent such charming.
I see. So,
So if Alkanost had an asset somewhere in the city who could spread such rumors, or indeed murmurs of discontent in the city that Alkanost is working hard to contain, but if his mind is affected by any charm spells, well, maybe then he can't keep quite as strong a grip on things. That may keep me free of charm for a little while at least.
right. So go drink coffee and talk shit on this guy then.
Possibly.
I didn't
Possibly.
hear it.
Only as a backup,
Talking
but
about it. Yeah. We could do it anyway.
we could do it anyway. It's true.
You
It
know,
would.
We're right next to an orphanage. You know who spreads rumors? Children.
Mm,
Tell one, the whole city's going to know about it by sundown.
that is true.
Mhm.
I don't know that we want to play that card yet, though. I think it's a good backup for now.
Keep it in the back pocket, but just let me know
Yeah.
when. And I'll find some 10-year-old to tell.
Perfect.
Well, is there anything
Sneaky.
else we should go over quickly?
When's we all doing this?
Tomorrow?
I guess. I mean, we're waiting on word from Izud about
Mm.
the Crystal Guard.
And you're
Is it
expecting that meeting tomorrow.
Yes. So we could do it. If it's Heracus, I don't know. After then? Before? Probably after.
After makes the most sense because half the reason we're talking to the Crystal Guard is so that they don't arrest us for espionage if we are caught by the Tarthians, or sorry, specifically caught by the Crystal Guard doing things that are perhaps a little suspect.
Yes. Right.
So they knows not to stop someone looking a bit sneaky if they look like us.
Yes, I believe that's the plan.
Right. Well, I suppose it's as far as we can plan ahead, I suppose. So, Dagmar, if and when you do go in there, do you know what you're looking for?
Suspicious stuff.
Right. Ledgers, papers, What language do they speak in Tarth? Is it Common or Tarthian?
You've heard them speak Common.
Common.
But also, Ascendant Kine said that he had another language that would not be known to anyone outside of Tarth, so that's a possibility also.
Right.
I guess.
There's ways around that.
Yes.
So am I I'm taking it, or am I copying it down?
Copying it's not a bad idea.
Mm.
If it's
Depends on whether they need you to have the actual thing to prove it.
if it's small, perhaps. If it won't be missed.
If we move fast, you could just take it.
Okay, so it's fine if I just take it because, I mean,
If
that
it's
is
something
going to
really
tip some people off.
big and obvious, maybe don't touch it. But if it's like a little pocketbook or something, or like a sending stone, maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
So I'll just grab suspicious stuff and shove it in my pockets of unknown.
Perhaps we should give Dagmar the
Dash.
haversack, or we can buy another one. I don't know where we'd find one.
No, you should definitely take the haversack for this one. Althenost will have no need of it.
Very good.
And
Speaking of
invisibility
which,
only lasts. Oh, go on.
sorry. Speaking of which, I don't think we'll use it quite yet because they're still playtesting it. But D&D Beyond is now letting you put things in containers such as handy haversacks.
Oh my
did see that.
goodness.
Yep.
The
goodness.
technology.
Yep, and they are working on having it account for weight mitigation and that sort of thing.
What a time to be alive.
I love that. That's so exciting. Right, Dagmar. Invisibility only lasts an hour, so
Okay. No
in
dawdling.
and out. No dawdling.
What?
Oh, and it's what would make invisibility stop? Because during the battle, it was when I attacked someone. So is it just
Yes.
attacking or
If you go for someone, it'll drop.
okay?
What if someone steps on her?
I think that should be okay. As long as no one punches me, she should be fine.
Okay.
I'll double check the spell though.
I'm pretty coordinated in this game. So if anyone comes close to stepping on me, I'll just duck.
Yeah, as long
Right.
as you don't do anything like cast a spell. I know you don't do magic, but or attack anyone, you should be fine. I'm the
Cool.
one who's holding concentration, so if I'm injured, then we could have a problem, but hopefully no one's going to hit me.
I mean, hopefully,
Ozzy's-
don't insult
Ozzy's
the
gonna have to try
barista.
real hard not to get punched in the face.
Thanks, Morzod.
Hasn't happened yet.
No,
Oh,
it
that's
hasn't,
right.
exactly.
It's very right.
Okay.
All right, so is that understood? And Morzod,
Yeah,
you'll be with
I
the
guess.
characters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hide
it
muscle?
was fine.
Okay, so I assume your characters will all attend to various personal matters, whatever they do to fill the time. I assume there's some renovations taking place.
Dagmar needs to nail boards over the window of her room.
Viterica's had some plans.
Yes. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm going to some kind of tailor, clothier, someone who sells clothes, and I'm going to get a set of gloves in a dwarven noble style made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty easy to do. How fancy are we talking?
What are my options?
It depends. If you want stuff that is genuinely, what a high status rich noble would wear, then they would have to be hand tailored and designed. If you're looking for something that's just off the shelf, off the rack, whatever, then it's going to be obvious that it was just off the rack.
Yeah. How much would it run me for either of those?
Off the rack would be not much. It would be 2 gold for the really fancy stuff. But for the hand tailored stuff that would impress even a nobleman, you'd be running probably 10 gold and at least a couple of days for the work, probably more like a week.
What about if you got one off the shelf, but then just had the tailor put a little bit of rick-rack on it?
Maybe I'll pay the 10 for the fancy set.
Okay. and they will be ready to pick up, they say, I'll just roll a dice.
10 days from now is going to be like 6 months from
Right.
now.
20 days.
In 3 days.
Okay, perfect.
Alright then.
Was that Vitericus's only goal?
I'm also going to stop by the arena on my way home.
Mm-hmm.
Who's at the arena at this point? Is Oh, I'm throwing a mental blank on literally everybody in the arena.
Oh my God, Rex. I love Rex. He's my favorite.
Zuka. Is Zuka around?
Yes, Zuka, the Minotaur, the pit master, is in there, the fight master.
What?
She immediately recognizes you.
Perfect. Hail, Zuka. How are you going today?
Ah, I'm well today, and how are you?
Well, thank you. Well, quick question. Do you guys do any sort of weapons training when there's not like a fight scheduled or anything like that to supplement your income as the arena?
Oh, certainly. We frequently have various training sessions, various sparring sessions. That's the word David was looking for. Sparring sessions here. Is there any weapon in particular that interests you?
Wonderful. Well, of late, I've lost some weapons that are a weapon that is quite precious to me, but it also has the great drawback of not being terribly flashy, and it's not really what I would consider an arena weapon. So I was wondering if you had somebody who could train me in using something with a little bit more flair. Let's say like a whip.
A whip? Oh yes, I know just the person. They're not here at the moment, but they normally come to our morning sessions just at dawn.
Perfect. I will catch them then tomorrow.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing you then.
Wonderful. Thank you. Is it bring your own whip, or are there training ones here?
Oh, I cannot guarantee there would be one for you. I recommend bringing one if you have one.
Okay. In which case, then, I will wander back into the shopping area and pick up a whip.
Yes, that is quite easy to do. They're relatively common. And
Whip.
They don't cost much. I'll just look them up in D&D Beyond. Okay, Licorice Rip. It is 2 gold pieces.
Perfect. I will buy myself a whip.
Cool. Okay. Anything else for anyone?
Nope.
You're just
Also,
going
would
to
have just
settle
been
into the room.
looking for rocks.
I spoke to Raleigh yesterday, correct?
I believe so.
No.
No, it would have been the day before. Because it
Would have
wasn't
been the day before. Okay.
Yeah, because yesterday was the fight, and that was pretty much the entire day.
That was the whole day. Okay. Okay. I will be expecting word from her at some point in that case.
Cool.
About the avocados.
About the avocados, you're correct.
Okay, so the afternoon wears on. You'll take care of various bits and pieces of business. The evening comes. Do you all have dinner at Common Ground as a group?
Yeah.
And see why not?
Cool. I think this could become something of a ritual among your crowd. Even when you're, relaxing in town, you might come together at the end of the day. Any final business before you bed down for the evening?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, Warzone, about that wine I asked you to get.
Oh yeah, is it? How soon do you need it? Because I haven't gone searching yet, but
Not super soon. A white, if you can.
alright. Anything else?
Crisp. Perhaps apple notes.
See, this is an interesting thing because, Mozart isn't terribly one for a whole lot of words, but he does know about describing alcohol, so he completely gets that. Like, you're speaking the right language, which is hilarious for a half-orc who isn't terribly articulate all the rest of the time, but then you get him with a glass of wine, it's like, notes of hickory, and there's...
Maple undertones.
Yeah.
Yes, anything really crisp and dry. Preference for fruity. Floral if you can find one. If you find more than one, that's fine.
All right. I'll see what I can do to ask around, see if there's any proper vineyards.
Have we seen any vineyards on our travels? It's curious.
Yes,
Might
there.
have
We passed
been.
one.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there
Did
are
we?
vineyards.
Oh, they were at that. Yeah, the town that we stopped in before Mirror's Reach.
After Mirror's Reach, actually, it was Mirror's
after
Reach. You
Mirror's
got on
It was
the
before Rivermeet.
you got on the boat
Yeah.
and you stopped briefly overnight.
It was. Yeah, it was
That's
pears.
Yeah,
it.
after the
It's
goblin attack, and that was largely
party.
vineyard country.
Yeah, no, it was pear cider. At the place before Mirror's Reach. I remember now.
But yeah, if you want to be my own personal sommelier for the next week and find me something, I'd appreciate it.
I'd have a look around, see what I've got.
I love that Morzod knows sommelier.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, you're all rest up. Have a long rest. No gods appear in your bedrooms tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure.
actually get that night's sleep.
Having said that, can I sneak out? Because you can break your rest for an hour.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. I'm going to sneak outside the town for a sec.
Okay. And just before you do that, that reminded me of something that does happen to Morzod just before Morzod drops off. So Morzod, as you're lying on the floor, I believe.
Yeah, a big kind of nest with birds and stuff.
You hear the familiar voice of Buren Lach in your head say, "Hey, dude. Oh, look, sorry. Yeah, don't look around. I'm not in the room. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a bit sort of wigged out with the whole like anchored on thing. So I've checked out of Providence for a while. Look, you still got my, you can still borrow like my power and that sort of stuff. Like always, I'm here for you, man. But like Engadon, that lady scares me, and like Desmina scares me a bit too. So like, you be
Too
careful,
bloody right.
mate. You be careful.
Hey,
All right.
well, look, you stay safe, mate.
Yeah. Oh man, you shouldn't be talking to me. I shouldn't be talking. It's breaking the rules here. Anyway, yeah. Look, sleep well, mate, and party on.
All right. Morzod just sort of probably sounds like he's talking in his sleep to anyone who'd be nearby anyway, sort of
Yeah,
mumbly.
Vitericus, you hear this chatter behind a door as you're sneaking out.
The susurration of a half-orc.
You assume Morzod's talking to Barry the Goanna.
Mm-hmm. Seems fair. Yes, so basically all I'm going to do while I'm out, the city gates don't close or anything overnight, do they, in Providence?
They do close, yes, but movement in and out isn't stopped. It's just they just want to, be able to monitor who comes and goes to make sure that no one unsavory tries to slip in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to... Yes, well, that too, right? I'm going to dress up in my full Emmanuel Aresti gear, which I don't think I've worn so far. But that's okay. It's basically like the... the fantasy scholar look with like the vest, but like the long sleeve shirt with the slight ruffles all over the place, breeches, maybe like a couple of bits of folded leather on one shoulder as sort of some sort of lip service to armor. It's that sort of look with like Albert Einstein hair. So I've washed out all of my usual hair gunk and a much thicker moustache than normal. And a monocle.
A monocle?
Yes.
Goodness me.
Excellent.
Yes. So I'm going to sort of stroll purposefully out of town, wait for the guards to open the gates, walk out, find a nice little secluded spot, and just sing. Basically, I'm going to find a spot with a few shades, and I'm going to try, let's start with some kind of Escalgren throat singing accompanied by my gong to see what the shades do in response.
I don't want to get married, I just want to sing.
And no singing. Give me a performance check, please.
Okay. That's an 18.
18. As you sing, you do see There are the usual sort of handful of shades floating about, but as you sing, it doesn't take long before they all start drifting towards you, and you can see more in the distance now as your voice carries are starting to drift towards you. They're definitely taking an interest in you, in your voice.
You're singing quite a bop.
I suspect that's all I'll get out of my hour of break in rest, given that I've had to get out of town, back into town, back to bed, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll make a note of the fact that that had an effect and go back to bed.
Cool. And the shades follow you. Basically, you see them follow you towards the town. Once you come to the gate, they slow down and lose interest. Like from an arcane sense, you have this. You know that thresholds and doorways and so forth present a kind of magical barrier, even if it's purely in the mind to spirits and other things. So it's because you're no longer singing, they slow down and just go about their random drifting again.
Perfect.
I've got a lot of aimless floating to do, you understand?
Yes.
Busy afterlife.
Okay. And it is evening, and then morning. It is the next day. Orsi, you rise for your morning session. Vatericus rises for an early morning whip training session.
Yes. Do we clock each other on the way out of common ground or at
Yeah.
the arena?
We're both walking to the same place, waiting for each other to break off, but we don't.
I'd like to think that's what happens, yes.
Why are you up so early?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Self-improvement.
Me too.
Wonderful. All good.
Yours here also to improve Vatericus. It's good.
Yeah. Definitely that.
Have fun, I guess?
Yeah, are you, like, in, like, class? Like, what are you...
I don't...
I'll be able to get you
hang
together.
on. Okay, what are you actually doing here?
I'm doing, like weight stuff. Like, what are you doing here?
Okay. No. Definitely not weight stuff. I am learning to whip it. Good.
Excuse me?
Well,
It's a bud thing, don't worry about it.
Is that a
okay, you
human
know how...
thing?
Okay, no. Okay, you know how when we fought Engadon the first time,
Yes.
probably shouldn't say Engadon in public, when we fought our friend the first time,
Your
I lost...
ex-girlfriend, when you had a fight with your ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Yes. I lost my daggers.
Oh,
Lost.
when did you... I didn't notice. I was on the roof getting hit by lightning again.
Yeah, okay. Yes, well, I lost my daggers, and so now I need something else. But for various reasons, it shouldn't be a dagger again. So I decided it may as well be a whip.
That checks out.
Yeah, and so here we are. Look, I've even got a new whip for the occasion.
Oh. You.
Is it a training whip? Has it got little wheels on it?
Ah, little, like, it's got a blue handle.
Mm-hmm.
It's soft. Well,
It's a pool noodle.
yeah. I'll be over this side of the arena.
Wonderful. I have no idea where I will be. I'm going to find that out.
Okay.
So, Vatericus, you catch up with Zuka, who points you towards a dwarf, male dwarf, relatively old. He's got white hair, with just the faint remnants of a bit of ginger in there. And Zuka basically just points about and says, go and have a word with Skull Miner over there. He'll be happy to show you the ropes, I'm sure.
Wonder what
Skull
he does.
Miner. What a wonderful name.
And yeah, you meet him, and he basically says, you want to learn how to whip it, eh? Ha ha.
Yeah, whip it good if possible.
All right, well, watch this. Actually, here, take this. It gives you a copper coin. Toss that up. Whip goes up and snaps it out of the air. and you can see he hits it. You don't see where it lands. It's not exactly a targeted attack, but there's some precision there. It says, yeah, used to do stuff like this, and like even more like showy stuff, like get somebody to and that sort of stuff. I'm not quite as nimble as I used to be. But that's why I don't really do it for show anymore. I used to do it in front of the crowds here. Used to fight in there too. I saw you yesterday. It's good stuff. Yeah. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that's why I'm here, right? The whip feels like a much more crowd-pleasing weapon than perhaps my rapier tends to be.
Yeah, you got that right. The sound of it, the sight, the slinging it out there, it gives you that extra range too. Like, rapier, you still got to get kind of close. Whip, you can like pull them off things and do stuff that it's the kind of thing where, like, if you have a chance to talk with them before, convince them to give you a few pulls to make it look good. That helps a bit. Like, if you can work the teams, work with the other team, trade a few, agreed upon falls, then you can get some really good showmanship going. But let's do it. So
wonderful.
You have a morning of training with the whip. I will just get I'll get 3 ranged attacks. I'll get 3 whip attacks. If you've got it equipped, just roll attack with it 3 times.
Yep. 12 for the first one, 19 for the second one, and flaccid 20 for the third one.
Dang. I was really hoping for a natural 1 for Orsi to see, but no.
Yeah, well, yes.
Awesome.
Orsi, as you're basically at opposite ends of the fighting area in the arena, and you can see Vetericus practicing with the whip, and he starts off looking fairly confident, and by the end of the morning session, he's whipping it good. He's got that really satisfying crack going, and he's starting to do the occasional spin on the spot and hit, and he's turning into a performer.
I mean, you already was a performer, but...
Yeah, but now I'm a whipman.
Yes.
So with the morning's training completed, what do you do next?
Constitution check?
Yeah.
Get yourself a power smoothie.
It's less of an issue because it's no longer your first session, but... Nope, yep.
19 anyway.
And the 19, Orsi is still... Yeah, Orsi is digging it. This is... Orsi has found his new thing.
Powerlifting. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. He's going to be talking excitedly about his macros for days.
Yeah. I guess our sessions finish at the same time. I guess we walk back together too. I saw you with the whip.
Yeah, it's getting there. I don't know if and this is perhaps a question for DM. I don't know if I'm proficient yet in it. Maybe a bit more practice, but we're getting there.
What class of weapon is it?
It's
probably comes
martial, I think.
Martial? Is it martial? I don't really do weapons.
I believe so.
Or is it a finesse weapon?
It's a martial melee weapon.
Martial
Yeah,
melee.
yeah, finesse. That's why I picked it, because my strength is not there, so finesse is good.
Yeah, so you are you can certainly put on a show with it. I would not say that you're combat proficient with it. You're not ready to I mean, you could still use it in combat, but you're not going to be getting your proficiency bonus yet. But if you keep training like this, that'll come.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Orsi. Like, yeah, I'm getting good. I'm getting the cracks. That's working really well. I'm not quite up to making someone bleed from it yet, but we'll get there. How about your training? Where are you at?
Yeah, no, pretty good. Only on day 2.
Wonderful.
Just been lifting heavy things. Yeah.
Willingly, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
I know.
I guess that has payoffs.
It does.
Yeah, cool. I look forward to seeing them gains.
Check me out, flex.
Maybe. Unless they awkwardly walk home together too.
Mm-hmm.
As you return to common ground, a kid. It's not one of the orphans that you've seen here. They look a bit odd. He looks more like he's 15 or 16. You know, young enough to still be a kid, but old enough to start to get that sort of gangly, adolescent look about him. He's human, and he sees you, Orsi, coming through the gates, and immediately sort of runs over and says, "Sorry, sir, you are Orsi Lichtenbraun?
Yes.
Message for you. Told to deliver it to you only, so I waited."
Oh, thank you. I take it. Don't recognize that. Oh, I give him a silver piece for his trouble.
Thanks very much, sir. And he runs off. It's a sealed envelope with the seal of the Coruscant Academy on it.
Right. I just hold it up to Vitericus. I think this is word from Izud.
Wonderful. Shall we discuss it over coffee? Coffee?
I would love coffee. I liked it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So
I
he'll-
will put a
yeah.
pot on of some description.
He'll open it when the others come down.
Well, if you guys have been going for the entire class thing, I was thinking Mozart would probably do some gardening. Probably help out with the cucumbers and whatnot. Good morning.
Yep.
Doing that manly thing, pitchfork.
Yeah, the kids are more than happy to get you to help out in the garden. What is Dagmar doing, or is Dagmar sleeping in? You muted, Conwyn.
Dagmar is doing some stuff to her room. You can probably hear some hammering. She's found some scraps of wood. She has blocked up the ghastly window so that it's a beautiful dark cave in there. She's putting up some shelves. She's getting cozy.
Homemaking. Love it.
And it's also just a colossal mess in there, which is the way she likes it.
Plus, he'll send Glow up to get her. Come down for a group meeting. Roommate meeting.
Dagmar, there's a scratching at your door.
She heard a scratching at the chamber door.
Scratching? Yeah, I will open it.
There's Glow, sort of looking up at you, with a slightly impatient look on her face.
Can I pick her up?
Owl of disapproval.
You can try.
You can
what kind
try.
of check would that be? Yeah.
Offer her a lift back down.
Give me an animal handling check. I think it has to be.
-1.
Wow.
2.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Okay. Yep, because that's a 3 minus 1.
Wow.
Yeah, you Glow is obviously affronted by the indignity of being picked up, and you get a nip on your finger. Enough to hurt, not enough to break the skin.
My apologies.
And Glow
Flies back
then
down.
flies back down to Orsi and lands on Orsi lands on your shoulder and nuzzles in, and you immediately get just a feeling of someone tried to touch me.
Oh, you poor thing. Did she try and pick you up? The indignity.
Hide a dwarf in her own cave.
Come on, Dagmar.
Yeah, Dagmar's going to trundle down.
Mozart, house meeting! Out the window.
Yep.
Right.
Mozart taps most of the dirt off and tromps his way inside.
You
Who are we
hear,
kidding? There's dirt everywhere.
you're gonna hear kids giggling at the Vitericus yelling out into the garden.
Perfect.
I got this courier delivered this morning when we're on our way back. He's gonna pop it open.
Boy.
Okay,
Hologram pops out. Help us, Obi-Wan.
it is a message from Izod. It says to meet. A meeting has been set up with Captain Cadron of the Crystal Guard, and to meet him as soon as possible. He is waiting for you.
Jeez.
Say where he is.
in the guardhouse at the Panopticon.
Right, so we should probably go.
Yep.
Has everyone got everything?
I think Barry can probably stay home for this one.
All right,
Yes, let's go.
let's head off.
Okay. As you make your way to the Panopticon, a building I was expecting our players to reach in episode 2, it is now episode 23. Sorry, 24. We are going to take a short break and we'll come back to see what happens with their meeting with Captain Cadron. Back in a moment.
Oh, yeah.
And we are back. We are all refreshed from our break, where we only spent maybe 60% of the time talking about Mass Effect. And we are now ready to see what happens at the Panopticon as our heroes make their way there to meet up with Captain Cadron of the Crystal Guard. What a lovely sentence that was. Something I've learned as a writer of both sci-fi and fantasy is that if you put crystal in front of any word, it immediately makes it more impressive somehow.
Because we
And
were
if you
all
use
born
it-
in the 80s.
And if you
I
put the
wasn't born
word...
in the 80s.
Wait?
No.
Jesus.
No,
My apologies.
no.
Well, can't you?
I was born in the 70s.
I'm a 90s
Okay, well,
baby.
I'm completely wrong.
I was going to say, the word crystal makes it sound important. The word penetration makes it sound intimidating. No matter what the rest of it is.
But I do
Word
think
Flash
penetration
filthy.
kitten.
kind of you were trying to say we all grew up with the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, that was pretty much what I was going for.
That's probably a fair point. So,
For those of you in the audience who are a bit young, just
Okay, there's a Netflix show that no one
be
watched
fine.
except us in this room.
apparently. So, our heroes make their way from Common Ground to the Panopticon, which is number 10 on your map of Providence. Up there, highest building in the city, tallest building in the city, so it's visible from all around. You can see this monolithic white marble structure with the light blue crystal glowing above it. And as you walk up, you can see it's very much classical Tarthian architecture.
what's that like?
It's, well, thinks of Greco-Roman to some extent, what we might consider classical, or maybe even a bit of neoclassical, because it's sort of modern classical in a way. But the tower, that is sort of the front of it, whereas the tower itself, and I'll actually move you over to the external view. This gives you a better idea of what the tower looks like.
Oh, check it out. There's us again.
We're for scale!
You are for scale. It's like in Reaper Miniatures, you've got a knight who has become known as Sir Forescale because he is always put in, included for scale. So, he's always there.
Absolutely. I like that.
So
You're so cute.
the tower itself is actually, it almost has sort of evil overlord
I was
connotations to
say.
it. It very much looks like they're trying to say, hey, we are the bosses, this is our crown. But it is made of white marble with sort of these threads of like golden inclusions running through it. It is a very...
Bloody Oregon.
It is very Oregon, yes. That was actually an aesthetic that inspired me when thinking about Tarthian architecture.
Oh, yeah. Look at all this gold.
That's for the Warframe players.
Necros for life.
Yep, so you go up these rather intimidating steps up the front.
Ostentatious.
Into the entrance, you can see standing, you've got these 3 huge wooden doors that are open at the moment. And there are crystal guards standing outside. It's the first time you've actually seen them in Providence. So they are wearing light blue heraldry, which is so a similar shade of blue to the crystal that's glowing above. And it has a stylized symbol of the crystal itself. And you note that this is like on a tabard or something like that, you would normally see sort of the flag of the city or something like that. Yeah, that's what the town watch might be wearing. But here they just have the image of the crystal, as though this is what they are here for. They are not the town protectors. They are the crystal protectors. That is their duty here. And they they are wearing breastplates and helmets. Again, halberds seem to be the pole arm of choice, with flintlock pistols. And they glance at you as you enter, but don't seem to do anything more than just a sideways eye. They're used to, it is a public space, they're used to people coming in and out.
Just give you the BioWare stare.
So are you all going in together as a group?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I
Don't
shall
see why not.
move you to the ground floor and...
But Tarek,
It's so dark in here.
Sorry, go again, Elsie?
Oh.
Suddenly come into a big dark room.
So,
Alright, you're going to be talking, right?
Yeah, I can do some talking.
so
I assume that's what we're doing. Yes, let's do that.
as you go through the big double doors, you've got crystal guards on either side of you in this vestibule area. Ahead of you, you can see a large open space up here, which in the center, you've got this actual hole in the floor. As you look up, the ceiling's about 10 meters high, so it's a very high ceiling here. You can see a hole in there, and there's actually this shaft of blue light going through. And you suspect that the crystal itself might be all the way at the top of that, and it looks like there might actually just be this hole going all the way down the tower.
I remember this dungeon from Golden Sun.
You have these marble walls around this sort of central raised dais area. Just on the and all of these walls have lots of small words etched into them, which you can't read from where you're standing. You'd have to get a bit closer. And there is a statue here. You've got a raised circular platform, and on that there is a statue with it's got abstract humanoid figures, various humanoid races. It looks like they've tried to represent as many as possible to keep it as diverse as possible. All of their arms raised in triumph and victory and defiance, and you can see that they've got sort of broken shackles hanging off their arms, and they are standing under what look like stylized depictions of Tarthian masks being crushed under their feet. This is a bronze statue. So,
The Tarthian lads love that.
and you can see there are a few people moving about. You can see a few civilians who are actually standing at one of the walls and are reading the names off there. And you can see a few individuals in clerical garb. They appear, based on the symbols that they are wearing, they appear to be clerics of Desmina. And you believe, you recall that this is actually a temple of, this level of the Panopticon is actually the city's temple of Desmina.
Well,
Wow.
I might. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just admiring the temple.
Yeah, fair.
Nice stone.
For most of you, it is probably a genuinely impressive space. It is very large. It is, you've got light, small amount of sunlight coming in the sides, as well as the light, the blue glow shaft of light coming down the center, sort of bathing everything. And yeah, it is very opulent.
So who's where are we meeting him?
Yes. Why don't we go ask one of the guards? That would make sense, right?
Okay.
Do we know? Yeah. Yeah. So I'll wander over to one of the crystal guard and go, excuse me, man or woman? I don't want to say, excuse me, my good man, if they're not.
I shall
My good God.
roll a
Person,
d20.
Yeah. Excuse me, my good person.
12, so they're
I
female.
can't even say my good human.
It is a
Okay.
woman.
Cool.
My good NPC.
Wonderful. Excuse me, guard. Might I trouble you for some information?
And she says, we're not here to show you around. Please ask someone else.
No, nothing like that. We're actually here to see Captain Cadron.
She, at the point, she sort of glances at you, and then quickly glances back and says, whoop, I was about to say third floor. Let me make sure that's right. I don't want it to seem like a fool. No, it's second floor. So she says, second floor, stairs behind you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I will relay that to the
with
team.
big fluffy hats. They're like not allowed to look around and stuff.
You mean the, not the beef eaters, the
Queen's Guard?
The
Yeah.
Queen's Guard,
Yeah.
the royal...
The ones that idiots get attracted to, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the big sort of grenadier caps. I think that's what they... Yeah.
She
Cold
sounds
Stream...
pretty rigid, though.
Suddenly thinking Coldstream Guard, but I don't know. I have bits and pieces of British military history in my brain, but they sort of fall out in the wrong places. So you make your way up. You've got these impressive marble steps leading up to level 1, where I shall activate and drop in a party. See, I had this all mapped out because I didn't know whether you'd be sending Glow Up to look through the windows or whether there'd be a Dagmar sneaking through the shadows or anything, so I had to have everything prepared just in case.
Well done.
Sign of good DM.
You have some double doors here, which are open at the moment. Are they? Yes, they are. Good. Well done, David.
Hey.
Looking into a currently largely empty space where you've got, again, you've got the glowy shaft in the center. You've got some curved tables with chairs around it. Nobody at them at the moment. And what looks like a sort of a public gallery. So this is where the city council would meet to discuss various issues and where the public can just sit and watch and, you know, occasionally provide comment as they do. But there are signs clearly saying, you know, continue going up. So you can move on to level 2. Activate. Drop the party in. I'm making you load one map after another. Sorry, April, I'm probably using up all of your phone data.
That's okay. It takes a really long time for my delay.
The DM's attacking us directly in the bitrate.
Oh my gosh.
These doors are open again. And so you are now
It's the
on
Shadow Realm.
the second floor. You've got a sort of a foyer here. All of the doors around here are closed, but there are signs in front of each of them. With this one here, it has a side out the front saying Crystal Guard Post.
Wonderful.
That looks
On
about
we
right.
go.
Any interesting nameplates on the other ones as we go past?
Okay, well, let's just go around alphabetically. Not alphabetically, clockwise. So starting
It's
here,
like the alphabet.
it says Treasury, and that's got 2 guards standing outside of it. The next one is the petitionery, and actually that door is open. And as a petitionery, you probably understand that that is where people go if they want to make a personal appeal to the council, but they don't want to do it publicly. They want to have some kind of anonymity behind it. So you've got the Crystal Guardhouse, you've got the Public Works Office, whatever that means, and it's the sign here says Armory. Okay, I'm now going to just drop in your individual tokens so I don't have to keep dragging the party token around.
May I have my
Okay.
owl, please, sir?
You may have your owl. Owls,
Thank you.
owls, owls. It's in player summons glow.
Thank you.
God, that look.
A giant owl.
Giant
Right,
disgruntled
I'll
owl.
make it littler. There we go.
Hey, so
Oh, yeah.
cute.
Oh.
All right, Orsie's gonna go knock on the door.
Yep, strolling along.
Yes, there are 2 guards standing outside the door. And before you even get a chance to knock, one will just greet you and say, please state your business.
We're here to see Captain Cadron.
Your name?
Orsie Lichtenbroad.
You're expected. And he opens the door for you.
Where's Am? Flips his hair and walks in.
Got that stride.
And I haven't actually drawn in the furniture because I ran out of time. But, yeah, there, against the wall back here, there is a large desk with a humanoid male, probably human, maybe half elf, with dark skin, also wearing the heraldry of the Crystal Guard, but not wearing a helmet. He has sort of chin length black hair, and he seems to be sort of working on paperwork at the moment. He looks up as you come in and says, Lichtenbron, is it?
Yes.
Right. And he looks at the other. There are currently 2 other guards in the office, and he says, give us the room, please. They both nod, step outside and close the door behind them, so it's just the 4 of you with Captain Cadron now.
Oh man, if we were bad guys, that would be the end of him. Just saying.
I'm sure he's high level.
Also saying that out loud. I wish he was.
Did Wolsey...
Suddenly get beefed.
How can I tell them that as we had a couple of episodes ago, I've got one.
So, this man that you assume is Captain Cadron says, so, Master Izard says you have business to attend to that might draw the attention of my guard.
Yes. My companion here can elaborate a little more than I can. Vatericus?
Yes. Well, Captain Cadron, yes? Just so
Yes.
that we know who is who? Wonderful. Excellent. Always worth confirming.
And you are?
I am Vatericus, the Soothsayer.
I love how Doug had to take a moment to think about which name to give.
Go through.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I threw you under the bus. I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. I should have been prepared to talk. This is a talky scene. So yes, Vatericus the Soothsayer. My associates and I are here to... Well, how much has Izard told you? Perhaps is a good place to start.
He gives a sly grin and says, well, he was wonderfully non-specific. he did say that he has concerns about what the Tarthians are up to above us. And I have to say that he is not alone in those fears. I, for one, will be incredibly happy to see them leave when they do leave. So, he thinks you might be able to precipitate that in a legal and safe way. So, I have offered assistance as long as it is done properly.
Wonderful. Well, to that end, we have reason to believe that they may be up to things beyond what they have officially declared as their purpose for being here. No doubt we've arrived at those same suspicions.
Oh, we're certain of it, we just have no evidence of it.
Yes, this is where we come in. We're here looking for evidence, basically. There may be a little bit of spell casting involved in that.
He says, well, we're not talking about offensive magic, like you're not going to be throwing fireballs or anything like that?
No, nothing of that sort. Purely covert style magics.
Utilitarian magic, if you would.
Well, as long as it's not done in front of the public, I can inform my guard to maybe overlook any use just by the four of you. It'll take a little while for that news to disseminate, though, so I wouldn't be doing it today.
Of course, that makes sense. There may also be... do you have, in this building at all, some kind of meeting room?
For the Crystal Guard, you mean?
More for delegations. I may be engaging in some light conversation with the Tarthians.
Well, meetings and so forth are generally carried out in the council chambers. There are also a couple of private rooms on that level where some meetings might take place. The VIP levels on which the Tarthians are staying, they also have some space where they might, I'm sure they will be holding their own discussions.
Wonderful. I can perhaps use one of those. That's fine. But yes, so we will be largely working in two teams. Lord Lichtenbraun and Brunhilde here will be investigating for evidence of wrongdoing by the Tarthians, and Mr. Grodgubbins and I will be distracting the Tarthians while that goes on in order to improve our chances of success. Just so that you know what the plan is generally.
Very well. So, I have to inform you that our guards are dedicated first and foremost to the protection of the crystal, and secondly, to maintaining the peace within this tower. So if you were to disrupt the peace by any hostile or violent acts, whatever your motive, you would need to be subdued one way or another. So please do not overstretch yourselves.
Of course, we have no intention of inciting violence. We are purely here to gather intel.
Good. Well, I will have a word with my deputy, and I'll see to it that the four of you are left unchallenged to a degree. But if you're going to do anything, don't do it until... let's say not until this evening at the earliest.
Okay. Well, team, do we have any objections to doing it tomorrow?
I'm fine with that.
Wonderful. That might give me time to... Captain, do you have any stationery or like a writing desk I can borrow briefly?
He looks at the desk he's sitting at and the writing materials and the paper, and he says, "Is it necessary that you do it right now? Is it urgent?"
It's not necessary that I do it right here. So perhaps if there's like a secondary office that perhaps a subordinate isn't using at the moment that doesn't have embossed paper with the Crystal Guard logo in the corner there. Like yours is lovely, by the way. Is that a hint of like strawberry in the pressed into the anyway? It would be ideal to write a missive to the Tarthians so that they know to expect a legal representative from elsewhere and their bodyguard.
I see. Well, such a missive would come through the Crystal Guard anyway.
Wonderful.
If you could give me the wording or deliver a letter to me, I will then pass it on.
Wonderful. Can I run that back up perhaps a little bit later? I'm just going to run down back to our lodgings, write the letter, run it back up.
Yes, I'd recommend not coming up and down too many times because the Tarthians do come and go, and if they see you coming up and down, they more than once, they might become suspicious.
Of course. I am merely a runner for Alkanost Wright, who will be actually dealing with them later. I'll be in disguise, you see.
He's very good.
Okay. I'm sure Izud knows what he's doing.
Wonderful. But yes, is there perhaps someone downstairs I could leave it with, a particular guardsman who you could tell to be on the lookout for a letter from a silver-haired gentleman with green eyes?
Yes, you could give it to a guard, any guard that you see down below. It might be better to deliver it to whoever is standing guard outside this office, though. They are most likely to get it straight to me as quickly as possible.
Very well, then. I will do that shortly. Thank you.
Well, is there anything... Yeah.
Yes. Perhaps there is. Tarek, it's just a quick word.
Yes.
And gonna talk quietly. Are we asking him about why Tarth would be interested in the shard?
Ooh. Yes, we should definitely do that. That would be...
Just wanted to run by it first.
Yes. Would you like to ask that, or do you want me to?
Morzod are having like a thumb war in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Cadron rolls terribly on his perception roll, so he has no idea what Orsi and Viteric has just discussed.
Or what Morzod and Dagmar are doing.
Correct.
Okay.
Really
Captain,
uneven thumb war.
One final thing to ask you.
Yes.
Would you happen, perchance, to know why Tarth would be interested in a shard of the crystal?
No.
We have an inkling that could be something they've taken interest in.
Well, that is concerning if they can find some way to use it against the crystal itself.
Yes, is that why they'd be after it, do you think? Can they harness its power to disrupt this crystal?
Magic of that nature is well beyond me. You'd have to speak to a wizard, maybe somebody at the academy about that, but it's I will not dismiss such a fear. I've already doubled the guard, the roof access. I'm not sure there's much else we can do at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose that's everything. Viteric, unless you had something else?
Perhaps some final questions. First is, how far away from the crystal are the Tarthians sort of lodged?
And he says, well, they are the highest of the habitable levels. There are then stairways that lead up towards the roof access. So they are on the levels that are closest to the crystal, but they are not allowed to access the crystal.
Okay, so they're close, but entrance is barred by your troops, by your guard.
That's correct.
Wonderful. Second question: do you have any layouts of the level that the Tarthians are on, just so that we know what we're walking into to some extent?
Blueprints, yes.
He thinks about it and says, yeah, we can do that. And he reaches into a desk and actually pulls out a couple of floor plans, which I'll just transport you to now as a group, so he can sort of just point out where the various things are. So it says this is level 4, and I need to bring up my own key so I can make sure I'm getting this right. He says that the Tarthian guards are staying in room A. Room B is accommodation for the aides to the Tarthian delegation. Room C is currently being used as the privy for that level, and room D is currently unoccupied. And then he takes out another diagram.
Just as a heads up, David, I don't think we saw the whole. Did everyone else see the whole room on that one?
No. It's
It's because the doors are closed. My fault.
That's okay. I'm sure we can theatre them.
Take you back there.
It's true. I think it's
Okay.
fine. But yes.
Room A, the guard barracks.
Yep.
Room B is the aid accommodation. This is the foyer. Room C is the privy. Room D is currently empty.
Great.
And on to level 5, where I shall drag you around as before. Okay, first of all, this is the foyer. You'll be stairs down the bottom, come from level 4. Room A is... Okay, all of these rooms, A, B, C, D, and E, these are where the high-ranking delegates are staying, the Ascendeds. Room F is currently unoccupied. And it is 1 Ascended staying per room.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know of at least 3 Ascended. So we know Fen, the Black Mask, and the Silver Mask.
Yeah. And it tells you that there are total... Oh, yeah, there's the Gold Mask. There's a Silver Mask. There are 2 whites and 1 black.
Right. That should be helpful.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Well, that gives us some more things to work on. Perhaps we should have a chat a bit later on, team. But thank you, Captain. I don't think... Does anyone else have any questions that they need answered at this point?
I think I'm pretty good.
No.
Sure.
And I'm just going to drop those maps into the art channel in Discord,
Thank you.
so you have access to them.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Right. Well, shall we head back and see what we need to do next?
Yes.
And Captain Cadron says, have you been to the museum down below yet?
Oh no! Is there a gift shop?
No.
Oh.
It's something of a memorial to the lives lost during the Tarthian occupation.
We'll stop there on the way out.
Okay.
Cindy,
Thank
I think
you.
you're... I'm not hearing you.
Oh.
You on mute, Sin?
Yeah, I'm not saying anything of any
Okay, cool.
import.
Sorry,
Oh,
just saw the
right.
mouth moving, and I was like,
Yep.
This is sufficiently awkward. Shall we leave?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay.
Thank you for the information, Captain. I will be in touch shortly.
One thing we didn't ask is exactly where the shard is.
Are we supposed to know where that is?
Well, we could
that, like, rude?
probably stand to try to not be where it is.
You can ask these questions. You can do it. Where's the shard?
You do know that the shard is in the Academy's vault, but you don't know exactly where that is.
I think Izzard also said he wasn't at liberty to tell us exactly where it was either.
That he seems confident that it's well guarded.
We don't want to accidentally run towards the MacGuffin, is all.
Yeah, I also would like to, just on our way out, if we don't mind, stopping by the academy. I just sort of speak to someone.
Cool.
Well, sauntering out into the afternoon.
Okay, are you heading to the museum, which is on the level below the ground floor, or are you heading straight to the academy?
Museum could be fun. Is it like Questacon? Do they have the free fall?
The museum sounds sad, and that guy made a really awkward point that we should go see it.
Yeah.
Probably more War Memorial than Questacon.
Yeah. You'd think they'd have a gift shop to raise money for the temple, right?
I mean, I love a gift shop.
That's what they do in Torage.
Buy some hat pins.
As you're on the ground floor, back on the ground floor, which is the the temple to Desmina, you do see the usual sort of bowls put out for people to toss coins into.
What you expect? Yeah.
Should we stop by, or are we headed straight out? What are we doing, everyone?
Oh, I mean, we've still got a bit of time in the afternoon. We should have a look.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So I
Stop by
think
the
guards are
museum.
gonna report back and say that we're inconsiderate buttheads.
So
In exactly them words.
I didn't actually make a map for the museum because I'm not expecting you to be sneaking around in there, stealthing after Tarthians.
Don't tempt
But
us.
on the exterior view, you can see it's actually this large underground area, which, as you go down these steps that spiral around the outside of it, it's actually a much larger space, and the steps very quickly come into sort of a helical stairwell down the center, and you can then have this huge circular space around you with lots of alcoves all around, and you realize that the stairwell you've come down is part of a watchtower, and you realize this is the Panopticon part of the Panopticon building, in that a Panopticon is a type of prison where you have a central watchpost or guardhouse, and then the entire prison, all of the cells are around it, so you can be in one spot and have a view of every prisoner in the area. As you look around, you can see that all of these alcoves must have been prison cells before the revolution. And given that this was a penal colony, everybody there was a convict. For somebody to then be locked up in here must have been, special or unusual.
Extra convict.
Yeah. And as you look around, you can see that there are objects on display, there are plaques, there are drawings and so forth, and you can see a relatively old looking elf, a wood elf, and he looks a little elderly, which for an elf means he must be centuries old, and he is just sitting on a bench, basically biding his time. As he sees you come in, he raises a hand as if to say that he is available to speak if you want to speak to him, but otherwise he is happy to respect and keep his distance.
So it's super awkward that the Tarthians are staying in this literal monument to how much they suck.
Yeah, that's kind of a power move on their part.
Your voices echo through this large empty space.
Oops.
So this is 100% original. They built this. So how old would it be? How many years ago was the?
The wood elf speaks up and says, "The building was one of the first structures built when the Tarthians brought us here. It would be about 70 years old now."
Did you us here?
Yes, I was one of the convicts brought here.
And you
Snap.
work here?
I helped to build this building, yes.
Pretty hardcore.
Are you looking after it? That's legacy, that is.
I'm not quite as fit, and not that I was exactly fit for labour back then, but these days I'm just called the storyteller. I'm here to tell others about what I and others experienced before modern Providence was born, in case anyone should forget.
You'd have seen it all. Yes.
Noble.
Are you like super mad that they are upstairs?
He frowns and has a look of, must be politic, and says, it vexes me, I will admit to that, but...
Okay, we think they're jerks, so you don't.
Yeah, why do you think they're here anyway? It's definitely not just a delegation.
Well, it is not for me to speculate, but I can guarantee no good can come of it.
That's for sure.
The priests up above would assure you that anyone can change, and that, in a city of equality, then even our enemies must be welcomed as they might be turned. But I believe we should have our limits. I think it's bad enough that they are here to walk on the graves of those they butchered. But the simple fact that there are those of us still alive who remember the atrocities they committed, and they are welcome to walk around as if nothing happened, is, well... There is perhaps a reason why I am not on the city council.
I mean, 70 years isn't a very long time.
No, especially not for an elf.
I mean, my dad's been a jerk for way longer than 70 years, and he's definitely not going to change. So, I don't know why you would believe that a whole society based on, like, slavery would... Anyway, yeah, I'm with you, nice old man. Elf.
My name is Illiman.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that.
So, did anyone ever escape from down here?
It says, from this era, the Panopticon itself, no. There was no escape from these cells. This is where those who showed too much spirit on the outside of this building while building the rest of the city, if they showed resistance, they were brought in here to be repurposed, was the term they used. Their souls were drained and trapped in the crystal that Desmina cleansed during the revolution.
Oh, what? Ew.
Yes.
Dagmar, we knew about that. The animancy, remember?
Did we? Nice.
Just got reminded suddenly. Ew.
And
So you don't think there's any hidden areas around here? Any secret doors?
He says, no, I helped build this. If there were, I would know.
Are there anything like that in this place? I'm an archaeologist. I'm just so interested in design.
He says, well, depends on what you mean by hidden. One of those alcoves does lead to the catacombs that were originally used by the Tarthians. They've been sealed off and blocked, but they were thoroughly searched before they were blocked off.
Blocked off for safety concerns, or?
It was another point of access to this tower that we felt was, felt was best blocked. In part, people didn't want anyone exploring the Tarthian tombs, maybe searching to loot some of their goods.
I mean, I mostly, delve in Shinalton architecture, so it's very refreshing to see something else.
I don't know much about that.
Pretty.
Bet you their lads know about that catacomb.
Mm.
Do you mean the Tarthian wizards know about the catacombs? I would assume
Hmm.
so.
The lads
Says-
that I've sent, I'll bet you.
He says it's possible, though. Although it's widely argued that all of the Tarthians here were killed during the revolution, there's been a lingering doubt that perhaps some of them did escape through the teleportation circle.
Teleportation circle.
Yes. It's
Where's
not-
that?
It is a Tarthian magic that I understand some individuals at the Coruscant Academy are trying to study, but they seem to be having some difficulty with it. It is currently blocked and therefore unable to be used, but it does remain within the tower.
It's not in the catacombs. It's in the tower.
It's in the tower, but
In
I'm
the tower.
not at liberty to tell you where.
That's fair enough. Who to see something like that?
What do we have to
I'm a
roll
wizard.
for genre savvy?
I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard as well. I'm a wizard archaeologist.
Sorry, April, what was Orsi's question? You cut out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Who would I speak to in order to gain access to that?
And he says, well, would I be either the Crystal Guard, would have to give you permission, well, would have to give permission for you to know where it is, or perhaps someone at the Academy. You seem to be a spellcaster. They might be willing to talk to you, especially if you're interested in helping with their research. I understand they're frustrated
Always.
by their efforts to learn how teleportation by circle works.
I have just the person in mind who could help them out with that research.
Oh, good. So please feel free to explore the museum. There are a number of artifacts and personal accounts written up on plaques and illustrations as well. And I of course am free to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much.
So as you wander around, you will see that there are a number of artifacts from before the revolution, including some genuine, broken shackles, some of which have plaques with a description saying that these, manacles, or what are the ones around the feet called? I don't know. That they spontaneously shattered when the revolution began, an act credited to the power of Desmina. And you can see that they do appear to have just been split. There's no evidence of being hammered or sawn or anything like that. You can see there are some masks of the Ascended. Some Ascended masks are in a display case with a note saying that these are original by some of the they belong to some of the rulers. There is one white, two black, and one silver. One of the black ones is damaged, a bit of it has been broken off, and the note says that the rest were destroyed following the revolution, and these ones were kept just for history. You read a great many, you see, whether you read them is up to your character, a great many personal accounts of what life was like.
And there are many pictures.
There are pictures, in fact. There are, Morzad would probably be most drawn to the illustrations of the heroes of the revolution, who Morzad might actually remember were the statues, the 4 statues in the arena atop the columns there. And you can read a bit more. They depict Han the Hammerer, Noxilla the First and the Final, Kula the Redeemer, and Fira Sharp Eye. And the illustrations of them are very fancy, and April's gone black. April's back. The illustrations of them are very Warhammer-esque in terms of detail and proportions and everything. So
Everyone's yelling.
When you when you compare the illustration to the actual artifact, you can see there might have been some exaggeration, but the original artifacts have been included as to ground the story. So Han the Hammerer is this big, muscly human with this great, warhammer. I mean, it's a warhammer, but it's very much the exaggerated fantasy warhammer. The artifact next to it is a very simple wooden peg hammer, the kind of thing for just hammering, wooden pegs into a board or something like that. There's a dragon. Noxilla, the first and the final, is a dragonborn with this great glaive, gilded and everything, and the artifact is a pitchfork. Kula, the Redeemer, is a halfling, Robin Hood style with a rapier, and the artifact is just this metal shiv. Vera Sharpeye is a wood elf with a hand crossbow, and what you see is basically just some improvised throwing daggers.
Fancy.
So you get the impression that the stories, these heroes have been exaggerated over the time, but there is still an essence to try and remember who they actually were, especially since somebody who probably saw them in action is in the room at this very moment.
Reminds me a lot of the memorial stuff they've got over at Cowra, if you've ever been there. It's a camp. All kinds of interesting bits and bobs.
Dagmar is mostly looking at stuff to be polite.
Well, Morzord has certainly a lot of respect for storytelling, so he's at the very least attentively looking at the pictures.
I will say though, if this is probably the most personal reflection of the Tarthian occupation. So, if for any of your characters it had been sort of detached, this is probably the closest you've come to realizing that yes, real people were here and real people suffered terribly, and many people probably still have a right to be very angry about what happened. So it's entirely up to you how your character reacts, but there is a chance that they might suddenly start to take things a bit more personally and start to feel a bit more empathy for the people of the city.
Morzord's certainly got respect for stories being passed on like this. Important. Got to remember who he was.
Yes, Vetericus will pick up the stories as well, mostly like ones that you could perhaps tell in a tavern
Of course, he feels
somewhere
really
far
bad,
away.
especially for the long-lived elves who have such a long memory.
Yeah.
Dagmar's like
man.
a teenager in a museum. She's kind of like, it's cool.
Fidgeting and popping her gum.
It's like, yeah, this is sad, but she's still kind of a bit of a dick about it.
And there aren't
Low-key.
really any rocks in there.
I mean, she does appreciate that round rooms are the most structurally sound.
And this part of the tower was actually carved out of the
Shall we
sandstone.
press on?
I'm gonna say hewn.
This is probably the most at home Dagmar has felt for a while.
Yeah, she's probably looking at the walls more than anything, to be honest.
Masonry, yep.
Good work.
I
Cool.
suppose if we had a look. Moments of solemn reflection. What this all means to everyone.
April's gone. And my
And down.
overlay
Data dropped out,
has moved.
I'm guessing.
Has moved Zindy into the Dungeon Master seat.
Now I'm in control.
And I'm
They could do something amazing.
I wish you could see what this does to my layout, because it means I'm playing Vetericus, Doug's playing Dagmar, and Kindwin is playing Orsi.
We should absolutely do a musical characters episode. Well, we
I'm so
already
mad.
sort of did that with the body swaps.
But now we're different bodies.
Yes, and nobody's an emu.
Cool.
For now.
Well, I'm going to say let's take a short break. And we are back. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I just had to move a few windows around. April is having some... she's in...
Feeding problems.
She's moved house. She's using her phone for data, so it's all complicated. But she's still with us. She's just going to be voice only for the rest of this episode. So, You've all finished at the Museum of the Revolution. Where do you go next?
I'd like to
What
go
time- what
first
time
to
is it?
Academy.
Yes, to the academy.
Yeah. It is fairly early in the morning still. It's still only about 9 or so because there was basically the morning workout, breakfast, quick chat, and then off to the Panopticon.
All right.
Okay, so you go to the Coruscant Academy, which is a short walk from the Panopticon.
Good.
And what are you doing there?
Aussie wants to speak to someone about what kind of magic it would be that would like have the shard influence the crystal. Like, what would that be? What school would that fall under?
Crystalmancy. So you mess
So,
a crystal.
who is also going to speak to on arriving at the academy?
What's the librarian's name? Oh, I have her name written down.
Yes, I had it written down somewhere too.
I think it's right at the
Many
start.
months ago.
The one who doesn't like
Rosaxa.
his dad. That's it. Rosaxa. He's going to go
Yep.
find Rosaxa. Are you all coming? We could go see Zarastra after this.
Was are they certainly happy to just sort of trundle along?
So part of the problem is that Isa wanted us to keep a bit of a low profile wandering around the academy.
You or me? I belong
I
here.
think, well, yes, you're fine, but like all these randoms keep coming and going from his office, and it's potentially a bit sus. I'm going to set up somewhere public, and I'm going to write this letter for Alkanost.
Maybe that is a
So
good point. Mozord and Dagmar, maybe you should stay with Ericus.
We
Look
could
after,
just go hang out
look
with
after the
Zarasa,
kids.
who was like our friend.
Oh, sure, you can go
Yes.
and ask someone where she is and go see her. She should be in dorms or something.
That's a
yes,
good plan. Yeah, let's do that. Come on, Dags. Let's go
Yeah.
find Zerasa.
wonderful. I will go to the library and catch up with you momentarily.
I'm going to the library as well, so
Oh yeah, of course you are.
I keep doing this.
They just don't
Well-
want to admit that they like hanging out.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe there's something there that wasn't there before.
absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
So you...
I am the broken pup of the scene.
Yep. You find Rosaxa, the gnome head librarian. What do you ask her?
Rosaxa, it's Orsu. Do you remember me? I came here a while ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yes. Yes, hello.
You came here and then blew up.
Yes. I was just wondering. I am trying to find out about what specific school of magic does Mina's crystal would fall under. I'm just doing a little research.
Magic. Oh. It depends. I mean, the power that's in it, that's all that divine stuff, you know? Like, you know,
Right.
it's godly in origin. So as much as we've...
What about people who manipulate crystals? What about that sort of thing?
Oh, well, crystals tend to find use in all schools of magic. The organized, the predictable structure of them makes them great ways to focus energy and to store information, and they have a great many uses. So it depends on what exactly you're thinking about. I mean, are you trying to research the crystal? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just trying to learn more. Yeah, I guess. I'm just because the Tarthian delegate's here, and I'm just sort of curious about what they used to do with the crystal, with the animancy and stuff like that. Like, did they
I see.
manipulate it through animancy? Is it cut off from that since it was cleansed? I'm just curious.
We do have, certainly in the decades that we've been here, we've had some people do some rather extensive research into the crystal and how it could function. There's a lot of speculation, but I can point you towards their records if you'd like to read them.
Right. Who would those people be? Or is there a book perhaps they wrote? Or
Oh, I could show you the notes that they talk and their theories.
Oh, that would be fantastic, yes. If you don't mind
Cool.
me copying anything of use down.
No, it's all public. It's all open knowledge.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Cool.
Oh, and also, I was just curious. I was in the museum in the Panopticon. I just wanted to ask if you knew who I could speak to about the teleportation magic that they've been trying to figure out.
And she says, "Oh yes, I'm one of the people who's been helping with that actually.
Oh,
Yeah, it's largely paused at the moment because look, we know it involves runes on this circle, and we know that there is some kind of, basically, we understand the magic behind how to create it. The complicated part is interpreting how to create runes on one circle that link it to another circle. We're coming to the point where we think we might just need to see another circle that we know is linked to this one so that we can compare the runes on them. But at the moment, we can't think of a way of doing that without going to Tarth, which none of us want. Yeah, which none of us want to do.
Yeah. Do you think they have any teleportation circles elsewhere?
Not within the city, certainly not that we know of.
I mean, elsewhere on the Wandering Isles or Talraj, perhaps.
Oh, it's possible. I don't know. It takes a bit of time and effort to create such a circle. It's not something that you can just do willy-nilly.
Yes. Other than Providence, were there any other major Tarthian settlements?
No, this was the one.
This was the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was going to be the base of operations as they then expanded into the rest of the Wandering Isles, but the revolution cut that short, I'm glad to
I
say.
see. Have you spoken to the Academy's newest hire, Zarasa?
Oh yes, that's the construct, yes, or the
The soul inside of the construct.
human in a construct's body. It's fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been spending a lot of time in the library, I have to say, doing a lot of. They describe it as catch-up learning.
Yes. They were quite preoccupied for some time. Zarasa was quite interested in teleportation magic, or these new schools of magic, so you should put Zarasa on the project. You might get somewhere.
Oh yes, yes, I will do that actually. Yeah, they were they're expressing all kinds of ideas for new schools of magic, which I must say it was a little disconcerting, but I'm sure that with reflection that they'll come up with some more practical ideas. But yes, I think they're going to be an incredible, invaluable addition to the academy. And just from what little time I've spent with them, I can see them becoming a member of staff here before too long.
Oh, I'm sure they would absolutely love that.
So nice.
Yes, definitely a diamond in the rough in terms of taming their ideas for different schools of magic, that's for sure. We've definitely tried to steer them away from heliomancy and animancy, but you know.
Yes. Yeah. But
That's pretty tough when that's all you knew.
Yes. Thank you, Morzord. Thank you for joining me in the library.
Yep, just absolutely popping in.
Yeah. Right, well, I
Morzard
suppose...
is everywhere.
Morzard is everywhere. Morzard's a concept.
He's a state of mind.
Yeah. Right, well, I suppose I will copy down these notes. I don't think I have any other questions. Yes, Orsi will spend the rest of the afternoon just copying
cool.
notes. Oh, actually, I had one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you happen to know anyone who would have, or who could teach a sending spell, or would have a scroll for sending, or where I could acquire one?
And she says, we actually have several here in the library. They're meant to be for official use, but may I ask what you need it for?
I'd like to learn the spell, I suppose.
Oh, yes. Yes, that should be doable. We could probably, we'd just need to charge you the cost of materials for the creation of the scroll, because we would then need to replace it to make sure we still have one handy. But yes, we can certainly do that.
Oh, good. In that case, I will pay whatever you need, bring my supplies.
Cool. off the top of my head, David doesn't know how much that would cost, so we'll work that out later.
Yeah,
but
I think it's 50 gold pieces per level.
that
of the
sounds
spell.
right, but that would be to buy, and since she just wants
Oh.
the cost of production, it would be half that, roughly.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So
I
you're,
will
you're
figure that out for you later.
you're basically getting it at cost rather than market price,
Cool.
retail price.
Oh, I think the 50 gold pieces is literally just how much it costs to copy down a spell. That's not even buying it.
Well, that would.
Oh, we'll sort it out later.
Yeah. So it would basically be the cost of copying it plus half the cost of buying the scroll.
Okay, cool. I will add all that up later.
Cool.
And obviously, we'll pay for that, whatever it is. It'll be fine. Oh, he's going to spend the rest of the afternoon copying notes.
Cool. Because you had the librarian show you exactly what you needed, I'm not going to make you roll for this research.
Okay.
But you will learn from it. Much of it covers what you've already heard. Certainly, there is a lot of speculation about how the arcane magic was replaced by divine magic. You know, what is the relationship between arcane and divine magic? There's an awful lot of philosophizing. But in terms of the structure of the crystal, it is... there is a lot of study into the kind of harmonics as it becomes clear that there is sort of a repeated signal, a very fast sort of reverberation that comes with the glow of light that comes out of the crystal, and theories about how it works. It's clear that it is being used to recharge the mana batteries that power the airships, which is why the airships in Providence, they have a limited range because they have to come back to the crystal to recharge at the end. Otherwise, it'll take them, although they have something that sort of resembles a solar battery in a sense, it would take them weeks to recharge if they were to run out of power when they're away from the city. But this idea of the crystal radiating power seems to be tied to this idea of it producing waves of essentially what they're speculating about electromagnetic radiation and stuff like that. Not in those terms. That's probably the best way for us to think of it, though. And how it might relate to the crystalline structure within the object.
So sick and nerdy, I love it.
Right.
Bet you I know what the bad guys power their airships with.
Well, it's concluded that the crystal was also being used for that purpose before Desmina took it over. So
cool.
power that was...
He will copy all that down and go find everyone else with Zarasa, I suppose.
Cool. So the soul magic that was trapped in the crystal before Desmina freed it, that was also used to recharge the airships.
Good old Argent energy.
Yes, you do find Zarasa. Zarasa, after a bit of inquiring, you find Zarasa is actually in a classroom sitting with students. It is essentially a history of magic class. And so are you going to just sort of walk on in, or what? How are you going to approach Zarasa?
Agma's going to hobble awkwardly outside the door, I think.
Yeah, gotta be polite. You can't just walk into these things. Besides, they might start asking questions. Haven't read the notes.
Zarasa notices you at the door and waves happily, and then immediately turns back to the teacher. They seem quite interested in what's being taught. And
well, they look all right.
Knowledge being given out, of course, they're absolutely gasping.
And if you loiter there for a while, you'll see Zarasa is frequently raising their hand to ask questions, and sometimes some of the other students are sort of surprised at Zeras's lack of knowledge of things that everybody else would assume is common knowledge because it happened in the past 800 years. But there's also a lot of, they're asking some very difficult questions also about why this or why that, or why did so-and-so choose this? Wouldn't it have been easier to do this, or that sort of thing? And it's becoming, it's clear that the students actually quite value having Zerasa there, because Zerasa is someone who essentially speaks truth to power, because they're just saying, no, that doesn't seem likely. It seems more likely that somebody would do this, because if you add this and that, then this happens. And what you've said is quite possibly a more elaborate tale that has been concocted over centuries in order to portray so-and-so in a better light. But the way this particular spell works would make that actually impossible, from my understanding. And the students are loving it. Because they're learning a lot in the process. Also, the teachers are getting a little frustrated.
I was going to say, what does the teacher think of this?
But eventually, the class will finish. It wasn't too far from the end anyway. And the students will split up and start moving towards their various other classes they have for the day. It's not so much a structured formal. It's not like there are set periods and dozens of classes happening simultaneously constantly. It's more of there's the occasional place for everybody to get together and learn a common subject, and then they tend to split up into their different schools where they work in a more of a workshop style, tutorial style context. But Zerasa, as soon as they finish, has a quick word with a few of the students, and then comes and greets you at the door.
Oh, Zerasa! Lovely to see you again.
Hello, I'm glad to see you too.
We came to see how you're doing.
Looks like you're getting on all right.
Whoop, I've lost April again.
And down.
Yep. She's back.
And April is back. Australian internet.
Oh, look, it's difficult for the packet wallabies to get all the way up there where she is.
We can't have April not here for the chat of Zerasa. We are going to end the session this week before anything explodes. So, thank you very much for watching. We will be back next week to see what happens with our heroes as they learn more about the Tarthian delegation, and perhaps start to get a bit stealthy and sneaky and inquisitorial. So thank you for watching. Bye.